You're listening to the Rebel Scum podcast.
You are always scum.
Rebel Scum.
From odds making to list rankings, we've got you covered. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
James, I know you are behind on this. You need to start playing Fallen Order. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Story is pretty fun. If anything, just watch all the cinematics on YouTube. I haven't looked it up, but I'm sure they're all there. Like, it's cool. I really like the connection it has with the Star Wars comics, and then also sort of, I guess, Rebels with just like the Inquisitors in it. It's really, it's funny. Just I saw other news about Inquisitors that you only see in the comics, but then there's like a spanning of it, so there's more to it because it's sort of like, especially with this game, you start to learn names, so it's just like, ooh, this is very, very cool. And I'm like, it's exciting to hear some of the, like, the Ninth Sister was mostly in the comic, and in this game, and you hear her voice, so it's like, oh, this is fun.
So that's what she sounds like.
I don't even know how to describe. You know what my problem is? I don't listen to audio. But I did pause what I was listening to so I could hear it, and I can't. But I had the volume on my TV low, so I can't even describe it.
I found the closed captioning on that game was like the instructions were way too small for me. I was like, I can't see what it says, and I have to stand in front of the TV. And I've seen Aaron play it like five inches from the TV, like I can't see what it's saying.
Isn't it funny how we've gotten bigger TVs from when we were kids, yet are still sitting like maybe 5 feet away from the TV?
Use bigger font.
Yeah. Giant font. That's actually a good point. They should have ability to make the font bigger. I don't think they usually do. It's usually just turn it on and off. Anyways, this is the Rebel Scum podcast.
What?
I'm Brock.
I'm James.
And here we are, as in olden days.
Here we are, as in quarantine days. Happy quarantine.
To you, wash your hands and stay inside.
Faithful friends who you'll never see again. Zoom with them online.
But yeah, Fallen Order. Bravo on this. I don't even know
Did you beat it?
How it Not yet. No. I think I'm on Kashyyyk, and it is pretty cool because we've seen Kashyyyk in other games, but I feel like you really get to explore it to the point that I was playing today, and I was like, oh, "This is what like the theme park should be like," but it's it's not. But yeah, I enjoy it. A lot of dropping. You know what? Also, Saw Gerrera is a fairly large part in this game. And I'm like, yeah, I want more Saw Gerrera.
Is this like really
I think it would be
the craziest character in Star Wars? How he was like nothing. He's just like a character in the Clone Wars. And then he shows up in Rogue One, and now they've just used Forrest Whitaker for everything. He's like the Ahsoka of the new era of Star Wars. Like he binds everything together. And he's dead.
Yeah, and like it's also interesting because he's kind of the like, you can put him at like the beginning of the building of the rebellion and all that, but then as you see him in more things, you see him slowly getting crazier and crazier, like especially in Rebels, like because I think even they have like there's an episode where he doesn't have crazy hair yet, and he's still a full person. And then you go get closer to Rogue One, and he has crazy hair, but throughout he's got that nervous laugh going on. Ugh. So good. But yeah, I mean, I really hope the success of like this game and all the other stuff is that they could hypothetically make a movie about Saw Gerrera, Enfys Nest, Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, like strike while the iron's still hot, and these people are able to do it. At least, like, I mean, looking at Captain Marvel, they de-aged Samuel L. Jackson, so. Yeah, like they could do that with all of them. I mean, they don't even have to do much. I don't think. I don't know, but like I think that would be a fun, if anything, like a TV show. Like Disney Plus content.
Yes. I think that's where it would probably live. They seem nervous about the theatrical releases, and I think has to do with fan reception of them for sure. I honestly believe if Mandalorian came out in the theater, people would probably hate it.
Probably.
That's not how Mandalorian. Why are Mandalorians not taking off their helmets now?
It's a good point. It seems like the more you belabor something, the more Star Wars fans like it. You know, like they didn't give us Mandalorian all at one go. They gave it to us on the episodic, so you had to wait. So it's like, oh, this. So you had time to think about all the things that you've seen so far.
Yeah.
Or rewatch. So,
which is why I think the 3 years between movies was always nice. As much as it sucked waiting, it's like you knew it was coming, and it gave you the gap in between to conjure up your own opinions and thoughts and your theories and whatnot. I mean, it makes it fun. And a year per movie, we said it all the time. Is like, when is this going to get tiresome? I don't think either one of us got tired of the yearly movie. I do think, looking back, Solo after Last Jedi might have been too soon. We obviously went opening night to both of them, and then we saw Solo twice together. It's just it was weird. It was like that May opening just didn't feel right. It's like, we're here to see Star Wars, and then it's like it's the most un-Star Warsy of the Star Wars movies. I think if Rogue One came out in May, we would have had a different reaction. But Solo, I think, the cinematography and whatnot, it just doesn't feel so Star Warsy at times that it definitely played into that. But it was, I think that was the only time where it's like, this might be too soon. The year gap, sure. But I think the 2 years that they're planning on now, I like. And if they ever go back to 3 years, I'd be, as much as I hate that gap, I would appreciate it.
I hope what happens with the next movies is that they're like, okay, I know film studios like to plan out their future. Totally fine. But when you announce these things, there has to be a script ready, right? It can't be just like episode 9 or episode 10, 11. I know they're not doing episodes, but whatever you want to announce. Marvel does it all the time, and DC's done it, and probably I think DC over Marvel's probably deleted half of the things they were going
DC
to make.
Ruined it.
It's just like, do it. It's fun. It's exciting. And I'm not crapping on that part, but just like have a script, because we all know they're going to rewrite stuff anyways, but at least have a script. So, and I think Star Wars would benefit from this pretty significantly, because they're like, here is our storyline. If with these next 3 movies all connect, or shake it up and don't make them connect. I mean, maybe, do that little fun connection of all these things, but make a decision now. I think stuff like Marvel and Star Wars, they can't, I'm not a film person or a film executive or like in charge. I think they can't compare other movies to this. You know what I mean? You're going to get people coming in until you get like 5 stinkers in a row, which arguably has not happened yet, but other people would disagree. You know what I mean, though? Do you think that makes sense?
I agree. And you know what? There's an article on, is it IO9? Is that the website? IO9?
I think so. That's what I always call it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's IO9. And I've seen a bunch of Lucasfilm people, story group, artists, things like that from Lucasfilm. There's an article about how Canon is ruining storytelling. And they're all sharing it, and people are getting mad and whatnot. And I've kind of been saying this for a while, where I kind of almost agree. I think I like things when they connect, but I don't like when you withhold things because it has to connect. I think there should be freedom in storytelling. And look, the sequel trilogy, obviously, if you're making 3 movies like that, then they should connect. If you make the original trilogy, prequels, whatever. But Rogue One, Solo, just sure have them tie in and whatnot. But going in the future, just do what you want. Have fun. Have fun with this sandbox that you're in. Don't be beholden to anything. Like, once you do that, you're taking away creativity. That's what it is. You're taking away people's creativity. And even if you look at, if you're a huge JJ fan or a huge RJ fan, that's Ryan Johnson, fan of those guys, their creativity was probably hindered a little bit because they were handcuffed to this, that, and the other, right? Where let's get somebody in here, fresh start, this High Republic thing, fresh start, handcuffs off, do what you want with Star Wars. Anything you want, bring it in and do it. That's what I would like. I'm with you, though. I think the next movie they do, make it a one-off. Just make it one movie. And if it works, do a sequel. And if it doesn't work, don't do a sequel. Do another one. Do the next one. Yeah. Why not? And then you know what? They're all separate from each other. And then all of a sudden you can say, guess what? They're all going to tie together in this movie. We did one where all ties together because somebody comes in and like, I like all these, but I want to do a movie, the Avengers version of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Iron Man, when they made Iron Man 1, it was never like, well, Iron Man 1 is going to connect to the Incredible Hulk. Sure, they added in Nick Fury at the end, but nothing in that movie gives you a hint that anything is happening beyond what you're seeing on screen.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's just like have a script ready, whatever you do next. Though going back to what you said, like about I forget what the story group or whatever. It's just like canon is killing Star Wars. I get the meaning because like it's like, oh, we have to stick in this structure, but like the lore of Star Wars has always been a factor. I mean, not when the original ones came out because there was nothing outside of those movies, and like I guess the holiday special. And when did the cartoons come out? After
mid-80s. Yeah, 84.
Okay, so well after. So like that stuff came after. That was like the predecessors of what would become like the EU book series and all that jazz. I think the prequels for sure are affected by the other movies, even though they technically don't have to. I mean, I guess they can't just be like, oh, Anakin's dead and blah, blah, blah. You can't just rewrite things. I think canon's always there, but I understand it is killing Star Wars in the fact that we're like, I don't think anyone is justified what the rules of canon are. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, oh, well, we can't do this because this is and this and this and this.
I haven't read that article, but when I look at it, and what I agree with is, if you read a comic, it's nice if the comic ties into the movies. That's nice. But also, it's a comic, and the movies are the movies, and the books are the books, and the video games are the video games. And it's nice that they all tie together, but it takes away from a lot, too, because there are stories, and we talked about this before. I mean, I brought it up, where the Rise of Kylo, and great comic, sure, Charles Soule, awesome. But why is that not a Disney Plus series? Like, why can't they do that? But now they're like, well, the story's been told there, and they're not going to adapt it because that's just not their style. So now it's like, it's only in the comic form, and you know that there's a large percentage of fans that aren't going to read that comic that would watch a series or whatnot. And I think that's the problem, is they're laying too much concrete down on, this is where this lives, that's where that lives, that's it, we're done. It's like no, but what if I come in and I'm like, I have this idea for Kylo Ren, it takes place here, and it's sometime, like we did the Shadows of the Empire thing this morning, and it's like, it's not canon anymore because Lucasfilm has other plans. Yeah, now they're retelling that story, but Shadows of the Empire is a great story. Like, I don't understand why they just can't have, for me it's always been about the way it's taken now versus the way it was before. And I'm not a fan of a lot of the Legends books. There were a lot of ones that I did like, but whatever. This is not what it's about. It's almost like they're for the sake of world building, they're afraid to have fun with the IP. And what we're left with now is basically, instead of, I mean, High Republic might change this, but instead of like fun books to read, like Lost Stars, they're basically notebooks where that we use to study, so that when we go see the movie, we're like, well, that ship, see, the reason why that ship's there is because in that book, on page 47 of that book, that ship was over there hauling spice to, you know what I mean? Like, it's focus on the fun before you focus on the canon is what I think. Yeah, the message I think the story group is trying to get out there to the fans, like, don't be so, I think it was actually, sorry Brock, but I think it was even more when they were retweeting it was more directed at the fandom, saying chillax on it, just enjoy enjoy what you're watching. I think that's what it was.
They need to incorporate into this retconning like
Yes.
Marvel does. Because, like, think about it. I know what this pops into my head as you're talking. The character of Scott Summers, aka Cyclops from the X-Men. That book started. Stan Lee's like, oh, it's about racism, but like, was he thinking that? It's hard to say. But basically, that's what the premise of it. It's like there's these 4 kids, and they go to a school, and they're wizards, and they go to the Triwizard Cup. No, but like as you grow, because here's the thing about comics: you have the creator, the artist, and the writer. They make an idea, and if it's successful, they keep making it. But obviously, they don't stay on. Stan Lee's not still. Oh, Stan Lee's passed on, R.I.P. But like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, I believe. Well, the artist might have changed a few times. It's like back in the day, right? So like they're doing. There's generations of like Chris Claremont took over, and arguably his run of X-Men is one of the more, I would argue, more notorious. But like, anyways, going back to Scott Summers. Scott Summers was just a guy. They didn't even call him Scott at first. He was Slim, right? And then as the years go on, it turns out he has a brother, Havoc, who he didn't know about, and he finds. And then it turns out his parents, like, they survived a plane crash because they jumped. Their parents gave them the last parachute. They jumped out. Blah blah blah. And it turns out that the parents aren't dead. They were abducted by the Shi'ar somehow, and the mother died. And then the father became the leader of the Starjammers, who you then meet when the X-Men go out into space. But then alternatively, Mr. Sinister involves himself with Scott Summers, because then that works with a whole series of stories. And then that's classic X-Men stories I've just been talking about. In like the 2000s, they incorporated that there's a third Summers brother. The mother was pregnant, and then the mother died, but the baby was saved and then lived in space. I think and then like somehow that Summers came back to Earth, was on the X-Men, but then it was a massive, terrible mission they went on, and Charles Xavier erased that. That's like 50 years of talking about the same character. Like, that's wild. Yeah. So, I mean, and I can go on and on, but like, perhaps that needs to be incorporated into Star Wars, where it's like, well, Han and Leia in the expanded universe had 3 kids. Well, what if we found a way to incorporate a new kid? We won't, because one, we need to get away from these characters. But like, there's no reason we couldn't figure out a way to do that. I don't know. I mean, when you start to add stuff like in that, then you got issues of like plot holes, and then like half the time it's always time travel or alternate dimensions, and then you're like, okay. I don't know.
For comics and stuff, I think they should have freedom to do. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to cheapen the comics either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like, well, it's a comic, so they can wreck on it. I don't want to do that. But I like things like that where people, the movies are the movies, and they're what they always say are the true canon are the movies. So let's just have fun with everything else. And I think as a fandom, we need to relax on nitpicking. But in this book, this was set. It doesn't matter. Like, in the sequel trilogy, does it ever matter who Poe's parents are? Do you know what I mean? Does it ever matter that traitor TR-8R was Nines? His name was Nines. Does it ever matter? First of all, that his name's Nines, and secondly, that he was a redhead. No, none of that matters. It's fun to read. We enjoy it, but we don't have to obsess over things like that. We just I think we need to chill and just like what is being presented to us for what it is, not for what I don't know. Just eat your steak and veggies. Tofu. Yeah. Oh, speaking of steak, you get to eat steak on Sunday.
Nope. Orthodox.
Oh, it's Orthodox, right? You gotta.
Yeah.
That one always baffles me. The date of it.
That's the calendar. It's.
But anyway, we won't get into it. It's.
But yeah, it's.
Well, I'm having chocolate on Sunday. I'm having a lot of chocolate, and it's going to be a great time. I'm just going to be there, and it's going to be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need chocolate. I don't know where I'm going to get this chocolate from because I haven't bought myself any. But I am. It actually, my niece is in cadets, and right before all this happened, we had a box of the chocolates they have to sell.
Yeah.
I might just dive into that box. I'll just buy. How much is this box? It's mine. That's how I'm going to do it. All right. Mark Hamill. How about that? You want to go to Mark Hamill?
Sure.
Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, here we go. So Mark Hamill wrote a letter. There it is. He wrote a letter on Twitter to all the fans about being Luke Skywalker. He says, "What an extraordinary journey it's been. Back in 1976, when Carrie Harrison and I were testing for our roles in what was then called The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from the Journal of the Wills, Saga 1, The Star Wars, George Lucas. There's no way we could have known what an incredibly rich and imaginative act of adventures this obscure little space movie would launch, inspiring 8 more chapters to tell the entire Skywalker saga, or Skywalker story. For some of you, that journey began with over 40 years ago, inviting Star Wars into your lives from the seat of just a few dozen theaters in its first days of release. For others, you may have joined in somewhere along the way, from the harrowing saga of young Anakin, descent to the dark side in the prequel trilogy, or the introduction of an entirely new generation of heroes in the sequel trilogy. As Carrie once said, Star Wars is about family, and that is what we have all become. One giant community that shares the common experience of these stories and the fundamental values they instill in it. Whether you're a relative newcomer to the Star Wars galaxy or a longtime UPF ultra passionate fan, I am deeply thankful for your continued continued enthusiasm and dedication to George's faraway galaxy, which will continue to grow with new storytellers, building as even bigger galaxy filled with heroes, villains, action, romance, and of course, the Force. May the Force be with you always, Mark Hamill.
The Force is the Force. Yeah. So Mark Hamill is, I guess this is his official release form from Star Wars. Is his pink slip. He is done as Luke Skywalker, and he just wants to thank everybody. Did you think we were ever going to see Luke again after Rise?
I don't know. I want to say yes, because I would like to know what happens between Jedi and Force Awakens. But yeah, I mean, I've said numerous times that we need to move away from these characters because it's just hampering us. Like, well, we were just talking about
exactly.
These movies we put out so far are all what ifs. Like, what if the Star Wars story went on for 3 more movies? What if we found out what happened on with the plans for the Death Star? What if we saw young Solo? Like, so we're doing like, well, what if we expand this story? It's like, well, no, it should be, well, what is the next?
Yeah.
What does the galaxy look like after the First Order? What, like, we don't define things enough. Even like rewatching Resistance, it's sort of like, why does the First Order have this much power?
Yeah, that's never ever really given. It is,
because it's like, even in that one, prior to them blowing up Hosnian Prime, they're just like, the First Order. It's like, well, why are you like, what makes them more powerful than the pirates that harass you every once in a while?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I talked to Andrew about this the other day. It's like they forgot the why.
Yeah,
they forgot the why with the sequel trilogy, and I hope whatever High Republic is, whatever is next, like the Mandalorian, they knew what the why was, right? It was maybe it was you have to. I think going into it, and I've said this before. I think the mistake with the whole thing was getting J.J. Abrams working on it based on the question, don't you want to know what happened to Luke Skywalker? And the question needs to be like, just why? Like, why is Luke Skywalker? Why? What is like the galaxy when we leave it in Return of the Jedi is arguably at peace. So what is the conflict? Why? And I think that was the one. You know, it's fascinating to think about what happened to Luke Skywalker. But I've said, for me, Luke Skywalker lived happily ever after burning his father.
Yeah. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
He could have easily had a better life, but they decided to crap on it, and it was like, why? You know what I mean? Like, we're going into this High Republic series with high hopes that it's a lot different, and there's mention that it's like, this is the High Republic, so therefore the Republic is probably thriving instead of being the end of the Republic or the pre-Empire Republic. There's a reason to call it that, so we're expecting a difference, but like, why do we have to, like, it seems in the sequels it's like we focus too much on like, well, things didn't work out the way we wanted, which is like, I get it, that's a good way to create tension immediately, but
there's never a why it didn't work out.
Yeah,
we're never told why.
New Republic just snuff out the First Order.
You're never told why Han and Leia, and you know what, you can argue books, but I'm not talking about books or anything. Why Han and Leia? Why Luke went to look for the first Jedi temple? Why? There's never answer to the why, and even when it ends, you're like, I'm still trying to figure out they kind of have to double back and be like, well, why? Because Lando and I went to, like, you're never there's still never a definitive why on anything. And that's the one unfortunate thing I think about. I mean, even the prequels, you know, you could argue whatever you want. At least, you know, the why is because Anakin's got to be bad and Palpatine has got to be the Emperor. Like, that's it. And whatever. They were fun movies. I don't give a crap.
It's vague, which is also another thing that's vague is Mark Hamill's letter. Very well put together, but it's not. It feels like he's not saying he doesn't want to do Luke. I mean, yeah and no. You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
I feel like he was told, write this letter. Like, randomly.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, what are you talking about, Mark? I mean, it's nice.
Yeah,
it's nice to hear something from Mark Hamill, and quite frankly, I don't think we're gonna hear the end of him talking about Star Wars till he passes away. It's like Stan Lee. Stan Lee retired from comic a long time ago, but he was always prominent because, one, he's Stan Lee. And you know, people want his feedback, and they also want to hear his story. So it's like, perhaps he won't act in another movie. Maybe he'll do some voice acting. And we honestly live in a time where they could put him in a movie and not have him there ever again.
Like Ed Sheeran in Rise of Skywalker. You don't even know. It's like he's that weird fish thing. Like, oh, cool. Whatever. I'm sure Ed Sheeran's like ecstatic. He probably thought he was going to be an action figure. Then he realized they didn't make action figures for this movie. Oh, hello. Do you want to go over to the odds?
Let's do it.
Oh, hold on. I'm so good at this. All right, Never Tell Me the Odds. Never Tell Me the Odds brought to us by Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon. Join us. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. We're there. Well, we're here a lot, too. We're everywhere. We are everywhere. All right, Brock, who are our patrons?
Our Patreons are executive producer Heidi Feder, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Aaron Quinton, Al Schuler, Phil Staniforth, Jana Rubio, Rachel Alford, Rural Farm Boy, Sooner Thrawn, Austin Scher, Scott D, Andy Higgins, Josh Price,
Mason Hope, Matt W. Rez, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, D. Raven Spencer, Gleek Play 1, Kayla Davis, Automated Joy, Charlotte, Mariah Weekland, Jericho Kane, 4-Leaf Clover, Girls with Sabers, and the Den of Nerds. Den of Nerds.
Woo!
Yeah, he just sucked, just like Josh, to suck the air out of a room. All right, let's have some fun with the odds today. The first odd, the odds of Hondo appearing in live action. This was our top 5 last week, but will Hondo Anaka appear in live action?
If Filoni has any ability to have a live action
Oh.
thing that he runs, perhaps. I it would be smart, especially since Hondo is in the theme parks now. I'm gonna go 55% because
Nice. I like
no,
it.
like it's going not full Brock. I'm pretty optimistic that perhaps one day we'll see him, even if he just walks to the background. But like,
Yeah, I'm gonna go 53%. He shows up in Mando season 2 at some point. Because I feel like now that the Mando's like fully like established itself, Filoni can now bring in the characters he wants. He's like, Hondo's gonna be in this scene. It doesn't, like you said, he might just be walking in the background, but I think Hondo's coming up because now if Ahsoka is going to be in it, I think we're going to start to see things that they're going to start to have what we were talking about earlier, a little bit more fun with the characters that they have in their toolbox.
I think it's more likely we'll hear his name mentioned at some point. But
it's Dinja. We have to go see a pirate friend of mine. Who? My friend Hondo.
Yeah, but then how old will he be at that point? Because you can see a difference of Hondo in Rebels in comparison to Clone Wars.
Well, he'd be
So
what, like 10 years?
Like
He'd only be 10 years older than Rebels, right?
Yeah, so is he still...
Do it!
I feel like Hondo will continue to be a scoundrel till the day he dies.
Yeah,
so.
and hopefully that never happens.
Yeah.
All right, next, the odds of the Mandalorian removing his helmet multiple times in season 2. Will they now be like the Captain America, Spider-Man? Just take it off. We don't just take it off, or is he going to leave it on the whole time?
See, like there's two conflicting issues. It's like his whole point of keeping it on, and the one time it comes off in where we see his face in season 1. Like that's a good moment. It's worth seeing his face for what like IG-11 says to him.
Yeah.
But like he's so gung ho about that like you kind of like he has to continue to do that. But then at the same note, it's like I'm sure Pedro Pascal doesn't want to wear the helmet, or at least wants to be on set. Like have they broken down how much he's not actually there?
I haven't heard anything. I'm sure you could probably sniff it out, but I have not.
Yeah, because I mean it's weird. I mean, I always say this, but like you can do whatever you want. Like it's weird to have a high profile actor be a character where you don't see his face.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I think we're gonna get. I think he's gonna do it twice.
Oh yeah, I didn't give a nod. I'm gonna say. More than twice? What was the question? How many times is he going to show his face?
The odds of the Mandalorian removing his helmet multiple times in season 2.
Times. Yeah, 2 sounds about right. I'm going to go 65%.
I just feel we're going to get to the point where the Darksaber is going to find its way home to Mandalore. And at that point, he'll remove his helmet. And then maybe another time. That might be the only one. But I think I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go 63% for 2.
Yeah. I mean... It could be a huge factor of the storyline being in season 2 that like there are no other Mandalorians for him to be with, so maybe he just casts it off because it's like there's no group anymore. But that feels like a real flaw.
Yeah, I like him wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
Our final odd today: the odds of a lightsaber we have never seen before appearing on The Mandalorian season 2. A new lightsaber shine a light. Literally.
So do you mean another special lightsaber like the Darksaber, or just a different color we've never seen before?
No, it could be a different color, different hilt, different Darksaber. Like it won't be Ahsoka, Luke, Leia, like one of those ones that we know. It'll be a brand new lightsaber fighting against the Darksaber.
I'm gonna go 85%. I feel like a flashback of some sort.
Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna go full Brock because it could be a flashback. I'm just curious, Giancarlo Esposito mentioned how he broke 3 of the Darksabers already during the rehearsals. what is he? If he's not fighting a lightsaber, what is he fighting? Is what I want to know. Like, what is this against? Because we haven't heard. Obviously we haven't heard anything. But is it another lightsaber, or is it somebody with some kind of like stick that like Grievous's men had? Like, what is it? I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
So did I say full Brock? I'm gonna go full Brock. That's what I said. I think that's what I said. I don't know. I hope whatever it is. I just hope that we all like the second season of Mandalorian, because now there are expectations set, and that's one thing that nobody can ever top is your own expectations. All right, you want to go to the news?
Let's do it.
But are you ready for the news?
I'm always ready for the news.
I don't know, because I'm gonna bring in the heat.
I'm ready for the
news. Da 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 da. Hollow news.
Hollow news, the news you need to know right now. If you go ahead and head over to StarWars.com, there is a new excerpt for Star Wars Shadowfall, which I believe is the sequel to Star Wars Alpha Squadron. It will contain the characters from that and go on to a further story. It shows a scene of the characters Chaz and Nath playing a game of Sabacc, and they're waiting to be called into battle. But of course, there's much more going on than just a friendly competition. Shadowfall will arrive June 23rd, and if you've missed out, apparently is on sale ebook format for $1.99. I'm assuming US dollars. I have it, and I have not finished it, but now I have time. From now till April 10th, it is on sale. So check it out. If you want to read the excerpt, it's on StarWars.com as we speak. And if you've heard of this new show, Lego Masters, well, guess what? This week, they did an episode with Star Wars-themed Lego creations in a special Star Wars-themed episode of Fox's hit series, which is so funny to hear hit after, probably 3 episodes. Will Arnett, the host, with guests BB-8, C-3PO, and R2-D2, challenged the remaining contestants to build their own droids and replicate iconic scenes inspired by Star Wars saga. Only the most impressive builds, to quote Darth Vader, will please the judges and allow them to move forward. It was a must-watch for all Lego Masters / Jedi Masters. For Will Arnett, he said, Star Wars was a huge impact on me early on. I remember this day I saw A New Hope in the theater in 77. I went back 3 more times. All these years later, to be able to be working with Lego and then have C-3PO and R2-D2 next to me is like a fulfillment of a crazy lifelong dream. So check that out. It's already happened. But I'm sure you can catch it on whatever you watch TV again on. I haven't watched the show. I'm very interested in it, but yeah, Star Wars, good stuff. And in our final story, Ahmed Best did a interview about where is it? With Star Wars documentarian Jamie Strangroom. That's quite a name. Talking about his future project, Star Wars: The Jedi Temple Challenge, which will be a game show for kids that has them vying for the title of Jedi Knight. It is supposed to premiere in June. Hopefully it still will, but Ahmed said, this is the thing I think Star Wars is falling short of now. There really isn't very much to believe in anymore. The lack of faith in the mythology is really the thing I find to be missing. We don't talk about the Force anymore in the Star Wars movies. We're really about lineage and legacy and technology. But the thing that made Star Wars work was the Force. There were 2 sides, the light side and the dark side, but we all believed in the Force. That's what worked in the Lucasverse when it comes to Star Wars. And he's saying that the Jedi Temple Challenge will focus a lot more on the Force. Of course, this is a game show, so perhaps there will be some story of some sort. I don't know. I'm very excited to learn more, but it sounds like they're putting some real work into this game show, and I cannot wait for it to be released. And this has been your Hollow News.
I can't wait for that game show either. Does there a release date for it?
I think there was something in June. I didn't copy it here because it's sort of like, because I don't know if they shot anything yet, but it's an exciting show. I think it's nostalgic for our generation for sure, because it's like Temple of the what all those Nickelodeon shows where like goop falls on you, like Guts and American Gladiators. Oh, it won't be the same. I don't think kids are gonna get knocked over, but this show sounds exactly like one of those Nickelodeon game shows. I'm very looking forward to it.
Bring it on, June. We'll still be in isolation. Top 5.
Top 5.
Today's top 5. Top 5 characters Jamie Lee Curtis could be playing on The Mandalorian Season 2, but won't be. Top 5 characters Jamie Lee Curtis might be playing on Season 2 of The Mandalorian, but probably she won't be. Top 5. Here we go. Play along in the chat. My number 5, Padme's sister. Do it.
My number 5, and this is in Mandalorian, right?
Mandalorian Season 2.
I'm gonna go with a scientist that was working with Dr. Whatever his name is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Zhivago.
That's it. Dr. Zhivago.
Was it Dr. Pershing? Dr. Pershing?
Pershing, that's it. I don't know why I had a V name. That's Dr.
Yeah.
Is it Vazavius?
I've heard this one coming around. I don't like it because there's already somebody playing this character. But the Armorer Unmasked doesn't work for me. But that's my number 4. I don't like it.
I'm gonna go a little different. She's gonna voice something. I think she is going to voice some kind of force creature, maybe like the Bindu, that they have to encounter because of whatever Baby Yoda is.
The Jamie Lee do.
Yeah.
I am the Jamie Lee do. My number 3, Din's mother. Din Djarin's mother. Mama Djarin.
Like she's alive still?
She is alive and well, unknown to Din Djarin at this moment in time. And she's like, I'm your mother, Din. Your last name is Palpatine.
In the same vein of what I just said, I'm going to have Jamie Lee Curtis voice a Yoda character, but not Yoda.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. She might be good.
I don't know how that would sound. I think she could pull off a Yoda.
Do all Yodas talk like that?
I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know what Yaddle sounds like, so.
Funny you should mention that. My number 2 is Yaddle. She's just flat, full makeup too, like not doing the voice. She's full makeup Yaddle. Yaddle doesn't die. We don't know what happens to Yaddle. She vanishes with Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
You're number 2.
My number 2 is gonna be Princess Leia Organa. That's right. They are going to CG a young, a middle-aged Leia onto Jamie Lee Curtis's face. I don't know why.
Why not?
But I feel fun representation of the Rebellion / New Republic.
If you can do it, do it. That's what I say. Yeah. Just do it. And my number 1, Holdo's widow. Holdo's widow. Widow?
But is Holdo dead at that point?
Yeah. No. Holdo. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Let's go with Holdo's widow. Time travel, Brock. We talked about it earlier. My timing is way off. All right, forget it. Mon Mothma's widow.
Are we on number 1?
Number 1.
My number 1 is going to be some type of high-ranking Imperial that's still in power. I don't know. Like a Governor Price, almost. I mean, that'd be perfect. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Like, I feel like there should be less and less Imperial. Okay, then we'll switch it up. She's a First Order.
Ooh, nice.
Like they are putting it all together or whatever.
So then where is she in the sequel trilogy?
I don't know. She's hunting.
This is what we're talking about. Where's the why?
She's wearing she's one of the Sith acolytes in the crowd.
That'd be awesome.
Their father at some point.
She's she's a Sith trooper. She's just waiting on Exegol to be summoned. Are we there yet? How did they get those clothes to fit all those stormtroopers on Exegol? That's what I want to know. Like, where'd they get that armor? They're just like, they're all the same. Like, are they all clones? Did they ever say that? Because otherwise, you would not know their size, right? Like, they're kids. They're going to grow. You don't know what they're going to grow to. Magically, all the red Sith trooper outfits worked out. Come on, even CVP's. He's like, I know your height. I have foreseen it. That's the Palpatine that we know and love.
The armor do. They just get a 3D printer and print out all the armor.
Very, very new age of the First Order to finally see what's going on. Just looking for the graphic. Bam. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher. If there are others, let us know, because I don't know them. But they probably exist, because Brock, you listen to podcasts. Where do you listen to your podcast the most?
Stitcher.
Is there a reason? Can I ask you that?
Yeah, man.
Am I allowed?
I'd always heard about it for the longest time. There's a lot of different things on it, and then the podcast I was listening to, they're like, well, if you subscribe to Stitcher, you get this exclusiveness here and there.
Okay.
And then I think what really got me going was the Marvel Wolverine radio play thing. That's what really got me to subscribe. I'm like, I need to hear this, and it's really good. So
I'm always curious, because from what I thought that they all had the same stuff, but I guess they don't. That's why I just don't know. Does it play better? I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of both, because that's a good question. When I subscribed, they weren't as big on Spotify yet.
Yeah, Spotify just
so
like over the last year or two.
I was asking. Yeah, because like I know my roommate Joe listens to it on Spotify. Like there's a lot of the same podcasts that I listen to, and they were, because of the coronavirus, they're releasing their premium stuff for people that don't have it, just to be nice and what have you. But I said to him, I was like, oh, they're releasing it. Have you heard this one? He's like, I know, I've watched the movie. I don't know. And it's like, so I don't know. That's a good question.
Interesting.
But yeah, anyways, fantastic platform. Whatever you like.
Yeah, whatever you like.
I mean, outside of Patreon, we're putting it all out there.
Yeah, and pretty much all the Patreon stuff's going on for this time now too. Just the cloning around is, I'll probably make some of them for everybody, but like it's more. That's early access, quote unquote. We'll talk about it. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I'm gonna think about other things like sleeping and work. And I bought some beer today.
Yeah.
I walked into the LCBO and I said, I'm only gonna buy one can of beer. Am I allowed in? They said, go to heck. So I did. A one in LCBO. I don't know how it is over where you are, but LCBO in the beer store, one in, one out.
Yeah.
Now the LCBO and the beer store where I live is small. We should, Yeah.
I get it. But I stood in line for 20 minutes to get into a grocery store, and I'm like, that's fine with me. Because you know what? Like, staggering how many people go into the store does alleviate the stress. Like, you don't feel like you're running into a million people. Yeah,
I did this. I didn't wait quite as long, but I waited after a couple people, and I walked in, and it was nice. I got whatever I wanted. I helped people find things. I'm that kind of guy. From a distance. I was like...
and then you touch their faces.
I was like... It's so smooth. He's like, sir. Anyway, this is the 164th episode of the Rebel Scum podcast, where we touch hands. We're not using Zoom. We should let people know we're not using Zoom yet. No one cares.
Yeah.
I still don't really know what everyone's obsessed with. Like, apparently you can put it on your TV. I don't understand how. But how do you put it on your... But I don't get... How do you put it on your TV?
We're on Google Hangouts right now, and it's on a TV right now, so I'm not impressed with that.
No,
at all.
neither am I. But
I mean, if you're
can't they all go on
you
TV?
still need a camera.
Yeah, nothing makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, that's BS. I mean, no. Remember at Christmas time the Facebook camera thing?
Yes.
I forget what it's called.
Yes.
That seemed to have faded away, but I was like, that's not a bad idea.
Oh, all TVs should probably. Now you need that little tab that could go over the camera because people are spying. Conspiracy theories. But like every TV should have a camera that they start manufacturing as of now. Like after this is done, if you buy a new TV, it should 100% have a camera built into it with Skype, Zoom, Google Hangouts, Facebook, all these apps with video chatting possibilities embedded into it. I don't see how is this not a thing right now. It's just a giant computer, I think. I don't know how TVs work, but I think they are. I don't know. I'm not telling you how to do your job, TV makers, because I don't know how you do it to begin with. I appreciate it, though, and I appreciate having... I think I have 5 TVs in this house. 2 of them are set up. It is what it is.
Yeah, because we watch everything on our phones anyways.
Actually, I do not. True story. I lived with a 13-inch tube TV my entire life, and now I have a 55-inch TV. I am not watching something on my little iPad or phone. Nope. I am not going that route. All right, Brock, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what rhymes with fun?
Scum.
And that's what you always were.
Rebel fun.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.